Okay, so 16 living dragons. That is where we are standing at the beginning of House of the Dragon Season 3. 16. And here's the brutal truth that the show keeps circling around. Roughly 79 years after these events, when a Night of the Seven Kingdoms takes place, that number drops to 0. Not 1, 0. That is the legacy of the Dance of the Dragons. That is what the Civil War costs the world. And Season 3 Episode 1 drops us right into the bloodiest part of it, the Battle of the Gullet, one of the most savage sea battles in the entire history of Westeros. So we are breaking down every single moment, every book comparison, every Easter egg, and yes, I've got a couple of theories of my own to throw in, because this episode opens so many doors it would be a crime not to walk through them. And before we get into all of it, if you are new here, welcome! I break down every single episode of House of the Dragon, every detail, every hidden reference, every connection to fire and blood. Hit subscribe right now because Episode 2 coverage is coming and you do not want to miss it. The bell icon too. Turn on notifications. This channel is where you come to actually understand what you just watched. Now let's go. The episode is titled Salt and Sea, Fire and Blood, which is a direct nod to both the Battle of the Gullet and to George R.R. Martin's sourcebook Fire and Blood. Right away, before anything else happens, you notice the intro has changed. The theme music, rescored by Ramin Djawadi, now has this marching, militaristic quality to it. It hits harder. It feels like a war drum, because we are no longer in the political buildup, we are in the actual Dance of the Dragons. This is what the entire show has been promising since Season 1, and the tapestry intro has shifted too. Instead of panning toward the Iron Throne at the end, it now drifts to the billowing edges with the Targaryen sigil and blood red pooling around the Black Dragon. That is not subtle. The Targaryen house is bleeding itself out, and the imagery is telling you that before the episode even begins. We open in the Vale of Arryn. Rhaena Targaryen, youngest daughter of Daemon Targaryen and his second wife Rhaena Velaryon, is doing something bold. She is chained as sheep in the open wilderness to lure Sheepstealer, one of the wild dragons still unridden and unchained. Now for context, Rhaena has always been the one Targaryen without a dragon. Her egg never hatched. Her older sister Baela's egg grew into Moondancer, while Rhaena was left with nothing. That wound has been open since childhood and it has shaped everything about who she is. So this moment, this attempt to claim a dragon, is deeply personal. Sheepstealer earns his name immediately, swooping in to steal the sheep, cook it up, and eat it right there. But he doesn't immediately try to incinerate Rhaena, which is significant. She begins speaking to him in High Valyrian, which is how all Targaryens and dragon keepers communicate with dragons. The dragons understand High Valyrian not because they're processing full sentences, but because they were raised in that language for generations going back to Old Valyria itself. They understand commands the way a cat understands its name. You have its attention, and it'll do what it wants anyway. That is exactly how Sheepstealer operates for most of this episode. She climbs on, he takes off, she stays on, and in dragon bonding terms, that is essentially the deal being sealed. When they eventually land on a mountaintop, and she thinks he's abandoned her, he hasn't. He flies off and comes back with a freshly caught sheep. He just went to get them both dinner. That is the moment the bond is confirmed. Now here is where the show makes a major departure from the source material, and it is worth talking about. In the book Fire and Blood, Sheepstealer is never claimed by Rhaena. Instead, a girl named Nettles, a small young dragon seed described as brown-skinned and around 16 years old, is the one who tames Sheepstealer. She did it by bringing him a freshly slaughtered sheep every single morning until he learned to expect her. What the show has done is essentially merge Rhaena and Nettles into one storyline, giving Rhaena the arc that belonged to Nettles. It is a bold creative choice, and it has real consequences for where Rhaena's story can go this season. There is also an elephant in the room here. Rhaena was supposed to be escorting Queen Rhaenyra's three youngest sons, Joffrey, Viserys, and Aegon III, safely to Pentos. She abandoned that mission to pursue Sheepstealer. In the book, Viserys is captured by the Triarchy fleet before the Battle of the Gullet, while Aegon III escapes on his young dragon Stormcloud. But in the show, we genuinely do not know. The little princes are somewhere on the way to Pentos, and Rhaena is not with them. That is going to come back around, and it is going to be ugly. Meanwhile, back in King's Landing, things are unraveling fast. Aemon Targaryen drags Grand Maester Orwyle out of bed and has Blackfyre raised to his throat. Blackfyre, Aegon the Conqueror's Valyrian steel sword, passed from king to king, is being wielded by someone who is not the king and who absolutely wants to be. Aemond wants to know where his brother Aegon is. No one in the Red Keep knew Aegon had slipped out in the night with Larys Strong. It has only been a couple of days since the end of Season 2, and already everything is in chaos. Orwyle's life is saved only because Lord Jasper Wilde, the Master of Laws, reveals that it was Larys Strong who took the king away, which buys Orwyle just enough time to survive. For now. Speaking of Aegon, we find him in the back of an animal cart with Larys barely holding himself together. He has been dependent on milk of the poppy for the pain from his injuries, and right now he is in detox. Delirious, barely conscious, burning up. Larys is steering this whole escape, and his plan, when you pull it all apart, is actually quite calculated. He revealed in Season 2 that he had quietly moved the wealth of Harrenhal to the Iron Bank of Braavos. His strategy is to get Aegon safely across the Narrow Sea to Essos, let his body heal, and allow Rhaenyra and Aemond to tear each other apart. Then Aegon can return as the rightful king once the dust settles. Cold, precise, and extremely Larys. But their escape hits a snag. A small group of soldiers loyal to House Staunton, who swore themselves to Rhaenyra before their lord died at the Battle of Rook's Rest, stops the cart. To pass, they need to denounce Aegon the usurper, and Aegon, even half-dead and delirious, cannot bring himself to say it. His stubbornness almost gets them both killed right there on a dirt road. Larys saves the situation by revealing that the burned man in the cart is in fact King Aegon himself, and that taking him alive to Rhaenyra would fetch an enormous reward, far more than killing them outright. He even surrenders Aegon's crown to prove it. And this gets to something really important about the two crowns in this story. Rhaenyra wears the crown of King Viserys, originally forged for Jaehaerys I. It represents legal legitimacy, the decree of the previous monarch. Aegon wears Aegon the Conqueror's original crown. It represents historical prestige, martial authority, the founding of the dynasty. Two different ideas of what makes someone king. When Larys hands that crown over, he is handing away Aegon's symbolic claim to power in order to physically survive. They're taken to Duskendale and put on a ship headed toward Rhaenyra's judgment. Now, a theory. We know from Helena's visions that she has seen Aegon returning to the Iron Throne eventually. She tells Aemon this directly in the episode. If that prophecy holds, then Rhaenyra is not going to simply execute Aegon when she gets him. Something is going to go wrong. Maybe Larys engineers another escape. Maybe Rhaenyra's plans collapse before she can get to him. Whatever it is, the show is already signaling that Aegon's story is not finished. Over on Dragonstone, Rhaenyra is wrestling with the deal she struck with Alicent at the end of Season 2. Alicent came to her in secret, committing something that was functionally treason against her own side, and offered Rhaenyra a path into King's Landing, bloodlessly. The deal? Alicent opens the city gates, Aemon heads to Harrenhal, and in exchange, Rhaenyra spares Helaena and her granddaughter Jaehaera. The painful irony is that the deal was made in good faith, and it is already falling apart because neither woman has full control of their own side. Jace does not trust it. The Black Council does not trust it. They think it is a trap designed to lure Rhaenyra into a vulnerable position, the same way Rhaenys was lured to her death by Vhagar at the Battle of Rook's Rest. Rhaenyra still believes it is real, and she is right that Alicent genuinely meant it, but Alicent does not control Aemond. And that is the crack in every plan here. Rhaenyra sets a 2-day clock. They move on King's Landing in 2 days. You can see it on her face. Something close to hope. The first real smile in a long time. And of course, that is exactly when everything starts disintegrating. Alicent returns to the Red Keep and walks into the throne room expecting to find Aegon, and finds Aemond instead, sitting on the Iron Throne wielding Blackfyre, calling himself king. In the books, Aemond never formally claims the kingship. He names himself Protector of the Realm instead. But the show pushes it further. Aemond is not subtle about his ambitions. He has always believed he should have been first. He is the one who has Vhagar. He is the one who did not fall to pieces the way Aegon did. And now, with his brother gone, he is simply taking what he has always believed was his. Alicent has to work fast. She needs Aemond out of King's Landing before Rhaenyra arrives. She gets a crucial piece of intelligence from Rhaena, who, because of her prophetic abilities, essentially knows everything that is happening and is about to happen. Rhaena inadvertently lets slip that Aemon is afraid of the other dragons. He has not felt true fear since he claimed Vhagar, but now, facing the possibility of fighting multiple dragons he cannot predict, Silverwing, Vermithor, Seasmoke, he is afraid of dying. And Alicent weaponizes that. But first, Alicent does something extraordinary on her own. She forges a letter in Aegon's name, signed with a seal meant to look like Aemon's authority, and sends it to her cousin Ormond Hightower, who is currently marching with 15,000 men and Daemon Targaryen, Alicent's youngest son, finally seen on screen after being referenced in Season 1, and his dragon Tessarion. The order in the letter is to hold position for 3 days. This stalls the Hightower army long enough for Rhaenyra to take the city. Whether Ormond recognizes Alicent's handwriting or simply does not care who sits the throne is deliberately left ambiguous. Either way, it works. Then comes the confrontation with Aemon. Alicent tells him everything he has ever needed to hear, that she failed him, that it should have been him from the start, that he was always the better son, the rightful king, and that she cannot bear to lose him. She tells him to go to Harrenhal and face Daemon, framing it as his triumphant moment, the thing that will finally prove his worth. And the scene is deeply uncomfortable in exactly the way it is supposed to be. Aemond interprets his mother's emotional vulnerability as something else and moves to kiss her. The actor who plays Aemond has spoken about this directly. Aemond has no real model for what love looks like. He has never experienced it in any healthy form. His emotional development was stunted from childhood. He associated his need for maternal validation with whatever distorted version of affection he learned elsewhere. It is not lust. It is profound brokenness, and Alicent, who in any other circumstance would not allow this, holds herself still because she needs him to leave. She needs him to walk out of that city, so she lets the moment pass. And he agrees to go to Harrenhal. He will return, he says, with Daemon's head on a spike and a feast in her honor. The door closes, and you can see exactly what Alicent has just sacrificed to make this work. There is a theory worth raising here. Rhaena told Alicent that she has seen Aemon's death, that he will be swallowed by the God's Eye Lake. She also says Aegon will eventually return to the throne. If we take Helena's visions as reliable, and the show has given us no reason not to, then Alicent just sent her son toward his prophesied death. She might not have known that explicitly, but the show is threading a needle between her saving him from Rhaenyra's dragons and inadvertently delivering him to a fate that was already written. At Harrenhal and the surrounding Riverlands, Daemon is in his element. He and Caraxes have been fighting alongside the Riverlands forces, and they have just finished off the Lannister army. The show appears to be combining two battles from the book, the Battle of the Red Fork and the Battle by the Lakeshore, and speeding through them. We even get a dark comedy moment where Daemon gestures to Oscar Tully, and Caraxes, sensing permission somehow from across a field, immediately starts burning and eating Lannister bodies, the dragon equivalent of a dog who knows exactly when it is dinner time. Then, out of the trees come the Winter Wolves, northern soldiers led by Roderick Dustin, Lord of Barrowton. He arrives and throws the decapitated head of Jason Lannister, twin brother of Tywin Lannister, at their feet. In the book, it was Lady Sabitha Frey who received a famous line about coming to die for the Dragon Queen. The show reshuffles the delivery but keeps the spirit. These are older men, per Northern custom, warriors who chose to march south knowing they were spending their remaining years on something that mattered. Ned Stark's philosophy lives in these men: honor, duty, death. Meanwhile, on the road near King's Landing, Criston Cole and Gwaine Hightower are watching their army become something no longer recognizable. Gwaine is horrified by what the men are doing in the countryside, raping, pillaging, behavior entirely unbecoming of knights. And Criston Cole, the man who was once defined by his commitment to honor, does nothing. He is in full nihilistic collapse. He does not correct them. He does not discipline anyone. He barely seems present. He mutters something about all of them becoming beasts before the end. And he is right, but not in the way he thinks. He has already become one. Now the dragon seeds. Near the God's Eye in Harrenhal, we find Ulf the White with Silverwing, Hugh Hammer with Vermithor, and Adam of Hull with Seasmoke, waiting to ambush Aemond and Vhagar. In the books, all three of them participated in the Battle of the Gullet alongside Nettles. The show keeps them here, waiting for Aemond, which sets up the eventual one-on-one confrontation between Aemond and Daemon. The Dragon Seeds conversation gives us lore in a very natural way. Ulf talks about his upbringing. He was small folk, sold himself to a red priest who told him he had king's blood in his veins. He believes his father was Balon the Brave, fourth son of King Jaehaerys I, which would make him a half-brother to Viserys and Daemon. That is a significant claim. Hugh's parentage points towards Saera Targaryen, one of Jaehaerys' daughters, who was effectively disowned after causing endless scandal and eventually became a powerful figure in Volantis. Two dragon seeds carrying Targaryen blood from very different branches. Adam of Hall is the most interesting case. He is Corlys Velaryon's bastard son, and unlike the others, sea smoke came to him. He did not have to tame the dragon. There are 3 theories in circulation about why. First, that Velaryon and Targaryen bloodlines have been so intertwined for generations that the magic carried through. Second, that Seasmoke was drawn to Adam because he shared physical traits and scent with his former rider Laenor, Adam's half-brother who we saw flee to Essos in Season 1. Third, and this is the most unsettling one, the whole idea that only Targaryens can ride dragons might simply be wrong. The show never resolves this, and that ambiguity feels intentional. What is very intentional is showing us the cracks in Ulf. He is not grateful. He does not care about honor or duty or what it means to fight for a queen. He wants a castle. He was told that becoming a knight would come with rewards, and when Adam and Hugh point out that knights do not automatically get castles, that you need to be a lord for that, you can see something shift in Ulf's eyes. He feels owed. And people who feel owed are dangerous. For those who know the books, this is set up for what is coming. The betrayal at Tumbleton is one of the most significant moments in the entire Dance of the Dragons, and the show is planting every seed for it right here in Episode 1. The black goat that appears near Ulf in this scene is not random. The same creature appeared to Daemon throughout Season 2 in connection with Alice Rivers and the mystical energy surrounding the God's Eye. The God's Eye is not just a lake. It is described in the lore as the most concentrated locus of ancient magic south of the Neck. In its center sits the Isle of Faces, where the first men and the children of the forest signed their pact 10,000 years ago, ending centuries of war. The island is watched over by the Green Men, a sacred, secretive order with profound mystical abilities. We see one of them appear near the Dragon Seeds, a satyr-like creature, mostly shadow, terrifying in how casually it appears. Ulf is rattled. The Green Men are essentially agents of something older than any king, older than any dragon. And Alice Rivers, who resides at Harrenhal and who the books call a healer at best and a witch at worst, tells the Dragon Seeds they are needed back at Dragonstone. The Queen needs them. How does she know this? There has been no raven sent to them directly. Which brings us back to the theory that has been building since Season 2. Alice Rivers has access to the Weirwood network. The three-eyed raven, though not yet born at this point in history, can communicate across time through visions and weirwood trees, the same way Daemon received those strange transmissions from Harrenhal, the future reaching back into the past to shape events. It is a wild idea, but the show has been earning it steadily. On Dragonstone, Baela returns with news that the Battle of the Gullet has already begun. Rhaenyra wants to fly Syrax there herself, and in the book she actually does participate. But Jace stops her. He argues this is a trap designed to draw her out the same way the Battle of Rook's Rest was designed to destroy Rhaenys. He convinces Sir Laurent of the Queen's Guard to lock Rhaenyra in her chambers, which is an extraordinary thing to do to your own queen. And then Jace leads the response himself, taking Vermax to the Gullet, alongside Baela on Moondancer. The Battle of the Gullet is staggering in scale and execution. Shara Ko-Lohar, commander of the Triarchy fleet, has made it very clear she does not care about Aegon or Rhaenyra or the Iron Throne. This was never about ideology. She wants Corlys dead in revenge for the thousands of Triarchy soldiers he killed during the War of the Stepstones. She used the alliance with the Greens as a vehicle to get her fleet into position for a personal vendetta. She reveals this to Tywin Lannister and then promptly shoves him overboard. The Triarchy fleet is trained to fight dragons. That matters. When Jace and Baela arrive on Vermax and Moondancer, the Scorpion bolts start flying almost immediately. Jace takes a hit, Vermax takes a hit, and then Rhaenyra shows up on Sheepstealer, and everything goes sideways. Sheepstealer has not been trained. Rhaena tells him to burn things, and he absolutely does. He just burns everything. friend and foe with equal enthusiasm. He takes a swing at Moondancer. He takes a swing at Corlys's ships. He is chaos incarnate, and his arrival turns what was already a brutal battle into something completely uncontrollable. This is what an untrained dragon actually looks like in combat. Not a weapon, a natural disaster. The distraction of managing Sheepstealer, Jace worrying about his sister on Moondancer, the crossbow bolts, the chaos of the burning water is what puts Jace in the wrong place at the wrong time. Vermax gets dragged down by a harpoon chain. The dragon goes under. Jace, strapped into his saddle, gets pulled with him, and in the chaos manages to cut himself free. He surfaces, and then the arrows come. Multiple crossbow bolts, and Jace, Prince Jacaerys Velaryon, heir to the Black Queen, older brother, soldier, the young man who held Rhaenyra's council together, dies in the water like anyone else. This is almost exactly how it happens in the book, and it matters that his death is unglamorous. He does not go out in a blaze of glory on Dragonback. He goes out in the chaos and noise of a sea battle, shot through by arrows that could have hit anyone. Dragons and royal blood and ancient Valyrian lineage mean nothing against a well-aimed crossbow bolt. That is the show's brutal thesis, and Jace's death hammers it home. Meanwhile, Shariko Lohar chases Corlys Velaryon through a narrow passage called the Dragon's Teeth, a harrowing stretch of rocks and shallow water. The show's creative team has cited the battle sequence from Star Trek: The Wrath of Khan as an influence, which honestly tracks once you see how the scene is staged. Corlys navigates it because he knows those waters better than anyone alive. He has sailed every sea in the known world. Eventually, Lohar catches him. They fight. Corlys goes overboard. And then Adam of Hull, Corlys's illegitimate son, the one Corlys feels deep guilt over abandoning, finds Lohar in the water and kills her. She wanted to sack High Tide. She wanted to hurt Corlys where it hurt most, and she got put down by the son he never properly claimed. The symmetry is painful and perfect. High Tide is still burning when Corlys sees it from the water, his ancestral seat, Rhaenys' home, going up in flames. The look on his face contains everything: grief, fury, the weight of everything he has built and watched burn. And the show is quietly telling us that Adam has stepped up in ways that Corlys never prepared him for. Their relationship is going to shift dramatically in the episodes ahead. We end the episode in the aftermath. The Blacks technically win the Battle of the Gullet, but Rhaenyra has lost a dragon. And she has lost a son. Jace is gone. Vermax is gone. Rhaena's recklessness with an untrained dragon contributed to both deaths. And Rhaenyra, locked in her chambers by her own child's order, can only tear her room apart in fury, unable to do anything. Now, here is where I want to lay out a theory. The show has been very deliberate about Helena's visions. She tells Aemon he will die in the God's Eye. She tells Alicent that Aegon will return. She seems completely unbothered by the chaos of the war because she already knows how it ends. But here is the question. She has seen a future. Has she seen the only possible future, or are there timelines where different choices produce different outcomes? The Three-Eyed Raven, communicating through Alice Rivers and the Weirwood Network, seems to be actively nudging events in a particular direction, sending the dragon seeds back to Dragonstone, positioning Aemon for the confrontation with Daemon at the God's Eye. The question I keep coming back to is, who benefits from the dance of the dragons burning itself out the way it does? Who benefits from every dragon dying? The children of the forest, the green men, whatever ancient power still lives in the Isle of Faces. The dragons are powerful enough to reshape the world, but they are also loud and destructive and deeply incompatible with the older magic. A world without dragons is a world where the old powers can breathe again, and the Three-Eyed Raven, operating from the far future, may be quietly ensuring exactly that outcome. Every death in this war might be a thread being pulled by something none of these characters can see. That is probably the most unsettling idea in all of this. Not that Rhaenyra and Aegon are fighting each other, but that someone else may have been engineering the whole thing from the very beginning. Season 3 has already delivered something. Season 2 never quite managed to land consistently. A feeling that the story is building to something inevitable, and that every choice has real, permanent weight. Jace is dead. Vermax is dead. Sheepstealer is chaotic and half-bonded to a grieving, guilty Rhaena. The dragon seeds are restless and already showing their loyalties are conditional. Aemond is heading toward Harrenhal and the destiny Helena has already seen. Rhaenyra is about to learn her son is gone, and it is going to change her in ways that make everything that came before look restrained. The table is set, everything is in motion, and we are only one episode in. If you made it this far, first of all, thank you, and second of all, you clearly love this as much as I do. Subscribing is genuinely the best way to make sure you never miss an episode breakdown, and I put serious work into every single one of these. Hit subscribe, drop a comment below with your theories, especially around Alice Rivers and the Weirwood Network, because I think that storyline is going to be the most interesting thing this season does. And I will see you for episode 2.